Hi, this is Ed Lawrence with Colliers. I am meeting today, having an interview with Christina Cassotis, who is the CEO of the Allegheny County Airport Authority. This is for the first quarter 2025 newsletter. So, Christina, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it today.
Well, thanks, Ed. It's nice to talk to you again, and I'm thrilled for the opportunity to be here and talk a little bit about what's going on here at the airport.
Excellent. Well, before we get started, did you want to provide a little bit of background on yourself, as much as you're willing to share personally and professionally, and then also as much as you want to share about your organization here in
Sure.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, the Allegheny County Airport Authority operates Pittsburgh International Airport as well as our reliever airport, Allegheny County Airport in West Mifflin. And we have about 10 million passengers a year going through Pittsburgh International. We're incredibly busy out at County with private aircraft, corporate aircraft, flight training, and medical aircraft. It's a fantastic facility for the region, as is Pittsburgh International. Whereas, in the middle of a very big building program to try to upgrade the facilities and make them make more sense for the business model we have today, which is one I was brought in 10 years ago to fix. So in
Right.
2004, the hub that US Airways had built went away. And 10, 11 years later, I was brought in to see if we could fix air service. And that's been a
Okay.
focus, along with making sure that we're putting all of the assets of the airport to use to benefit the community. That includes our substantial real estate portfolio, making that bigger and making that much more focused on economic development for the region. So I'm a New Englander. I'm new to Pittsburgh in the last 10 years, but have stayed longer than I thought, just because this community has been so focused on understanding the importance of an airport to it. And it's a real pleasure to work here and do this work.
Yeah, that's excellent. As a native Pittsburgher who grew up here and has remained here professionally, I thank you and your team for all of your efforts. It really has come such a long way in 10 years. So that's excellent.
Thank you.
In terms of what that subject, as the airport transitions from a hub model to an O&D market leader,
Mhm.
how do you balance the regional travel needs with positioning Pittsburgh, which you've done as a global player in innovation and sustainability, which are key components?
Well, first of all, they're not mutually exclusive. So I would
Okay.
say that the way that we position Pittsburgh as a leader is we focus on the regional market. We make sure that it's getting the air service that it needs, which is to be tied into a global system. So folks who live in Pittsburgh fly all over the world for business, for leisure, and folks from all over the world fly into Pittsburgh. So we're being compared constantly to other facilities and to services that are provided elsewhere. And we want to make sure that by bringing in the right airline service, the service that this market needs, we're saying to an industry and we're saying to a global market, Pittsburgh is maybe different than you think. Take a look. So I would say that
Right.
it's not really a balancing act. I think they build on each other. And the more that the global industry understands Pittsburgh, the better our air service profile is, because they understand, right, that it's eds and meds, and it's robotics and AI and data, that it's energy, that it's advanced manufacturing, that it's so
Right.
much more than perhaps they thought. And I would say that that is the goal, is to do both.
That's a wonderful perspective. And personally, my wife and I and our two sons will be flying to Iceland direct
Oh,
coming up in
nice.
June. So thanks so much for that. And I know a lot of folks in the business community have also been able to take advantage of that flight from a business development standpoint. So that's wonderful. In relation to Neighborhood 91, it's been described as a true game changer in additive manufacturing. Just wondering, in your mind, what role does this development play in driving economic growth in the region, and how do you see it evolving over the next 5 years or so?
I love that question. Thank you. I'm really excited about, because it really was to say, what are some of the regions, it was to answer the question, what are some of the resources available in this region that perhaps, if combined differently, could lead to a new economic outcome? So if we
Right.
take a look at what advanced or 3D printing is in the metals space, for example, that is something that is still relatively new as an industry, and it's expensive to move those parts around. So by putting everything in the same neighborhood, right?
Hmm.
Pittsburgh has 90 neighborhoods, so let's make this the 91st, that there becomes an economy of scale that allows for faster production, it allows for faster testing, it allows for faster completion, and you can ship it out and get it to where it needs to go. So 3D printing is usually high value, it's usually big parts. I can tell you one of the ways that this is working is that we have a company over there that is producing parts for Airbus, which is a major aircraft manufacturer. Airbus
Right.
has very big relationships, very important relationships with a number of airlines that we're talking to. So when we talk to the airlines and we talk to them about the fact that we have 2 military bases on our site and that Neighborhood 91 is producing parts, right, for Airbus and is looking at what it can do for the military, that is a different conversation than just, trust me, a lot of people are going to fly to where you're going. It looks at how are we as a region coming together at the airport to support the economy, and that tells a story of innovation. It tells a story of it's not maybe what you thought, and you should be looking at
Right.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and another example of that, as we discussed prior to jumping on this call, is Mainspring
Mm-hmm.
Energy.
Yep.
And that facility really highlights now the airport's role in economic development like never before in my professional career. And just to maybe further your thought that you just had, how does the airport authority identify and attract such investments in moving forward?
Well, in the case of Mainspring, and thank you for
Yeah,
bringing that up, that was really a partnership with a lot of different organizations, including the Allegheny Conference on Community Development. Their chief growth officer sits on the board of the Airport Authority, Matt Smith. So there's a lot of, he certainly knows what's available out here, and so do the
right.
folks in the PRA, as part of the conference. So Mainspring to us is one of those really big statements, just like
Mm,
Dick's Sporting Goods being headquartered here, right? That
sure.
brings in
Right.
folks from the West Coast and suppliers, et cetera. There's a lot of business travel, a lot of travel associated with Dick's. Mainspring, we have a pharmaceutical manufacturer out here, and we
Mm,
have quite a bit of development. And I think what Mainspring represents is that this is a good place to do business. The airport
mhm,
corridor is busy. It is highly valuable in terms of real estate access, and there's a lot that partners can do together, not just us, clearly,
mhm.
because that's really not our first mandate, but it is a mandate. And so to be able to look at the resources that can be brought to the table, whether it's tax increment financing or RCAP grants or anything that would allow for getting the site pad ready, that's all stuff that's really important, and that makes a
Mhm.
statement about how we as a community think about economic development, which is we think together, we think collaboratively,
Yeah,
and we think what can we bring to the table and how can we help.
that's wonderful to hear because I guess the economic development community cannot be disjointed. Like you just said, you have to work in tandem with the Allegheny Conference and the other ancillary groups. So that's great to hear. Maybe just to go back to the construction of or I should say the new airport construction that's occurring. It's one of the larger projects in the entire country, as you know. What features and innovations are you most proud of, and how do you think they're going to enhance passenger experience at the airport?
Thank you. So first of all, the new airport, as people still refer to the facility that we use today, was built and opened in 1992, and
Right.
it really doesn't work for the business model of today. It was also designed pre-TSA. So that's why we have these two separate checkpoints. We looked at fixing the current facility. We looked at what would we do if we could do anything. And we feel
Okay.
really lucky that we could preserve that X design in the center core, so you're never too far from a gate. That is actually brilliant. Something that is being copied throughout the world in Mexico City and Abu Dhabi at other airports. So we wanted
Hmm.
to preserve that. We wanted to shorten the time that it takes to get to your gate. We wanted to be able to provide amenities to a wide variety of travelers, folks who maybe traveling with people who need special services, et cetera. So how did we make sure that the services match the infrastructure? What I'm most proud of is that it reflects Pittsburgh today. It reflects today's Pittsburgh, the region today. And I'm excited for people to discover that they didn't know something about the community that they're either arriving into or departing from. And I would say that having been here for 10 years, I know that there are people from the South Hills that have never been to the North Hills and vice versa.
No,
So
I'm just joking.
yes,
Yeah.
I know. But listen, that happens everywhere. And to be
Right.
able to take care of meters and greeters, which is really unique for Pittsburgh, that people pick up
Sure.
and drop off. We actually created design for Pittsburgh and for the Pittsburgh region to showcase its attributes, its assets, and to make a statement that this airport is part of a community that does, it's not that we have to work with a conference, it's that we get to.
Right.
And we get to work with organizations, whether they're for-profit, nonprofit, government, NGO, philanthropy. We are so well supported by this community. And I think that that's going to be really clear in addition to design that just works better. It just works better for everybody.
Right. Yeah, that's wonderful to hear because obviously Pittsburgh has gone through such a transformation, particularly over the last 25 years in terms of technology, AI, robotics. So it's wonderful to hear that the airport's going to reflect that even further. So that'll be a great first impression. Of course, then when they exit the Fort Pitt tunnels and see the city for the first time, that's even more sizzle on the steak there. So just to wrap things up then, Christina, this has been a great discussion. To follow along again with economic development and so forth with the new well, I should say that with the new and improved facility.
Yes.
Exactly. What impact do you think that will have on workforce development? Obviously, we know the impact on transportation, but even global recognition. And what ripple effects do you see that would affect commercial real estate positively from that?
So I believe, because I am seeing it already, that we are getting attention from the global market just because so much of what we're doing differently than other airports have done. And that we have, I would say, we're the ultimate comeback story, right? So 10 years ago,
Right.
a whole lot of the industry had counted us out. And now they're watching to see, okay, what is this going to look like? What new innovation will come with it, and what can we count on? They've been following our progress, again, with the microgrid, the child care center, with our workforce development programs that we've stood up through construction and hope to continue into energy. So I would say that the ripple effect is that Pittsburgh gets repositioned in an industry that is global and interconnected, and that spins out into adjacent industries. So that's a good news story for Pittsburgh, one that we want to tell over and over again, and won't stop when the terminal opens. It's our job to continue that storytelling in conjunction with and collaboration with key community partners, and to tell it as often as we can, because we want people to discover this. Therefore, come locate here, come look at what you can do, right? So it's all part
Right.
of a message that there's a lot of possibility in Pittsburgh, and you should come check us out.
Excellent.
That will translate into real estate, I promise.
That's a wonderful message too. So, yeah, on behalf of Colliers, as you know, we collaborate quite often with Allegheny Conference, and we look forward to future collaborations with you and your team, and really appreciate again your time. I know you're a very busy individual, so I really enjoyed getting a chance to speak with you. So again, this is Ed Lawrence with Colliers for the Q1 2025 newsletters. I just spoke with Christina Cassotis, who is the CEO of the Allegheny County Airport Authority. Christina, thanks again.
And thank you. I really enjoyed this time.